All right, I love you too. All right, bro.
What's going on, man?
Going on, man? Sorry about that. My mom had told me to give her a quick call, so she just be, you know how it is. They be trying to talk to you. They just want to hear your voice.
Hey, man, soak the moments up, bro. That's love, man, to be able to have that.
Yes, sir. How everything on your end?
Man, things been going good, bro. Been going good, man. 2025 hit the ground running. Been a more of a balanced year this far, man. I've been roller skating a lot this year. I've been trying to up my hobby game, and so been out on the rink.
Literally roller skating.
Yeah, literally roller skating, getting out on the rink, man.
Yeah, man, man. Listen, hey, God bless you. Now you got me finna go roller skate, man.
Hey, man, get out
I've
there,
done it.
bro.
I
Get your
have
roll
done
down
it.
soon.
I've done it. It's scary. It is scary, like till you learn it. But yeah, I've done it. But it's what now? What time is it where you at?
9 a.m. I'm three
Oh,
hours
okay.
behind you.
Hey, that's beast mode right there. Cause I could not be on nobody recording at 9 a.m., man. So you got to be. Hey, you got to be living right to be up and and fresh and record 9 a.m.
Hey, for real, man. Man, it makes a difference, bro. Like just waking up, not saying that I'm perfect, but just knowing that my hands clean and my heart pure, like I'm striving.
Right.
I think that's another thing too. I just been feeling in the 30s, man. Just like I know that I know what's right and doing better. It's like I got the blueprint now. I'm no longer doing the trial and error or the test drive. I kind of got my bearings a little bit now. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? I wanted to ask you about this. This random because I was doing a video from a personal page and but it's just me talking.
Yeah.
And so, but I wanted to ask you because right now it's a lot of talk out there, and you and I are similar in a lot of ways as far as, two-parent home, good fathers, and having a head on our shoulders, having gone our own way, went our own way, did our own thing, came back, going back to the roots.
Yeah.
And I have found that right now there's this like, it's a lot of chatter about men like us being called narcissists. And I'm like, I want to, and I know what that is, and I know that we're not that. But from your perspective, being a confident man, because you speak your piece, you speak your mind, and sometimes people could take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
What do you think is the root of that misconception? And like them seeing us who are pure-hearted, genuine men as a narcissist or like this, I don't know, like underhanded, sneaky snake guy that hurt them in their past. And it's mostly women. I have never been called that by a man.
Yeah, man, bro. This word every year there's just like several words that just stick. I don't know when narcissist came on the scene, but that bad boy has not left, man. Everybody a psychologist today. Everybody know what a narcissist look like online, but don't know how to sidestep them in real life. That's the one that's laying them on their back. And so bro, honestly, bro, I be looking at what you be doing and just how like you deal with so many people, bro. I don't know how you do it, but for me, man, I just learned to ignore it. I'm like, man, this is just somebody online talking, and most of the time, the people that like say wild comments or specifically if it's a woman saying something, they don't have a profile picture or it's not somebody I would listen to in real life and to have a conversation with or take advice. And that's not being rude, but I've had to learn, as doing this with you and growing, like just to set a boundary with certain things. So I don't know, bro. It's interesting. I pay attention to that, but I think it's just a lack of discernment, but also a lack of true healing and a lack of really being connected to God. I think a lot of people are religious and well read and watch a lot of YouTube content, and they're just like in this echo chamber of this person's a narcissist. These are narcissistic tendencies. This is that, and gaslighting and all this, and it's just like we're so intelligent today that we're ignorant. Like people got so much worldly knowledge, they don't have no real wisdom, because wisdom shows up in the way that you live your life, right? And the way that you're able to really see what's really going on. And so I think when people really have wisdom, it shows in the fruit, like the fruit of their life. You know, you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. And so that's what I think about it, bro. You know, like,
Mhm.
but it came out of nowhere and just everybody seemed to be, I can identify what a man is based off of the world's knowledge, but I have no godly wisdom to be able to see like a man that's really trying to do what's right and living, God's perspective, God's way. And for me, just as a single man, bro, like it's so much easier for me to go out here and just like be a dog. There's so many women out here that are just even godly, religious. I love Lord, I'm in the church 5 times a week, type of women that would much rather a man that is of the world than a man that is striving to be like King David, a man after God's own heart. So that's my 2 cents, bro. But I feel like you deal with it on a larger scale than I do, bro, like all day, every day. And so, what are your thoughts on it? And then have you seen a shift since, because you've been on the internet for a while, but have you specifically seen a shift in this since the pandemic?
N Now that you say that, that is something. Man, maybe it honestly around the pandemic is when I feel like the term narcissist really became a buzzword. Like, as we know, it's always been a word, like, in that world, but it is a clinical diagnosis.
Yeah.
But the way people use it, and they're not clinicians, it's left up to interpretation.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of women don't understand how environment and upbringing affects a man, and that a lot of the behaviors that they call narcissism is just a guy raised like a wolf, or raised without a father, or raised around men who were hurt themselves. And it's not that they're just like these vicious monsters, it's just they don't know what else to do. And survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
So if we got to fight for oxygen, I'm gonna suffocate you. And that type of mentality is in a lot of relationships. It becomes like survival, and it becomes a competition. So then that behavior, which comes from a scarcity mind, a lack of self-love, a lack of love and example, it then is labeled narcissism, which to me sometimes is something totally different, rooted in just someone wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard, wanting to be the end all be all, the everything, and everything goes back to them and everything is about them. And then they will hurt whoever they have to hurt and use whoever they have to use to fill their cup. And so they will completely deplete you and do it over and over and over, and use you and manipulate you, and you a pawn on their chessboard, but it's all really to go back to their ego.
Yeah.
And that right there. And so when I started being called a narcissist by certain black women, I was like, what in the world? I'm like, and so they don't see how I treat my wife, how I treat my family. And so what it was is, I think it started to be confused with confidence and assertiveness.
Yeah.
And then it started to seem like projection, to where like, okay, this woman maybe was like abused or hurt by a man who looks like me. And I may remind her of him. Or she may think my look means that I am this way. And I could have been that way, but I'm not that way. And so I started to see this projection. But then what I started to notice, it was more so like the narcissists were calling the servants narcissists,
Mm.
because the narcissist wants the platform of the servants, and the servants are calling out the narcissist, and the narcissists don't want to be called out, so they, you know, flip it back, so are you, or hey, you are this, or you this. And so
Yeah.
it's becoming this game, to where now in the social media space and in the podcast space, is like that meme where the two supermans or whatever, they pointing at each other.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, because me, I call me somebody out when they start to get dangerous,
Yeah.
when they start to get reckless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I could tell that they're gonna mislead people, they're gonna hurt people. And then so some of those same people sometimes will try to, flip the script. And it's really been, it's just something that hit my heart this morning as I was thinking about it, because I was seeing people, it ain't got nothing to do with me, but I'm seeing people call out other people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, y'all look like two sides of the same coin. Like that's totally different
Yeah.
than what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But it made me think about that because, you know, sometimes I have seen to where like a confident, strong, confident black man gets misunderstood
Yeah.
or ridiculed for being that way. And it goes back to like our self-perception of like
Yeah.
why can't we be black and strong and confident?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in our community, bro. Man, it's a couple things that you said that led to more questions, but I haven't really seen women call another woman narcissist. It's mainly at men. And then within our community specifically, I think it just shows the lack of access to healthy men in real time and like in real life. I realize how many women don't have male leadership in their life like at all, or not connected to their father, or their father's passed away, whatever the case may be. But it's almost like it's been weaponized and kind of slipped into our community to kind of keep us at odds with one another, but honestly, man, is draining, bro. And I've just learned just to ignore it, because what I've realized is there's always going to be a King Saul, but then God is always going to raise up a King David. Um, and so just no matter what, I've just learned just to, because it's made me, bro, like watching you and working with you over the years, bro. Like I remember saying, like, bro, I don't think I want to do this YouTube thing. Like I'm good on that. But it's just one of those things that God is just part of my purpose and what I'm supposed to be doing. But I have no desire, bro. I would much rather just be low key and out the way. But it's this burden in my heart of like, man, I gotta speak up. I gotta share my journey and my truth. Because darkness is always going to exist. We're in warfare, right? And so but we still got to shine, and the same thing, they ridiculed Jesus to the point of death. And so like that's what I realized, like, man, I've never had to resist up until the point of like shedding blood and like death. So like, yeah, you're gonna be ridiculed a little bit, people gonna look at you a certain way, but that's human nature. And it's just like just keep doing what you're doing, is my thing. But then also too, bro, you said something about maybe these women, some of these women, because not all women, but some of these women, maybe um, we look like a man that did something to them growing up, right? But it's just like, man, that ain't fair to us. Like you haven't healed. You're projecting onto us like that. What if, for those of us as men, we've gone through things too. And what if we're projecting, thinking, you look like a woman or a girl that did something to us in our past. And so from my perspective, bro, I think just a lot of people again are just in this echo chamber on the internet today, especially after the pandemic. Like we just spend so much more time online, and we don't spend enough time in solitude with ourselves to really know ourselves, to hear our own voice. And we just hear our favorite podcast or whoever we're subscribed to. And we just got so much knowledge, bro, but just no wisdom and real substance anymore to know what we're living for, right? I think many of us know about God, but we don't really know God on a personal level, to where it's like, okay, I can hear your voice, and really having a real spirit of discernment. But I think also, bro, honestly, bro, that's why we need more healthy men. I think we're living in a time to where um even if they won't say it out loud, I think a lot of women are desire leadership, right? But maybe a lot of women aren't used to leadership. And so you don't know how to accept it at first, because, like you said, maybe some childhood trauma or something you haven't healed from. So you don't even you say you want a healthy man, or all men are this and that, but you don't even have the capacity to receive a man because it's plug and play. So you blocking a lot of men because you haven't healed. You're still holding on to that pain from your childhood, right? And so any healthy man that might come your way, you're going to block him because of that thing you haven't let go of. So I've just learned just to continue just to speak my truth and just to lead, but to lead with love. But it's a different time, bro. It's a different time, man. And I see you've been doing the balloon review, man. Like after you've done a lot of these now, bro. Like what's your state on like dating and men and women today? And then when you look at Pop the Balloon, do you think that that represents dating across the board, or you think that's just dating within our community?
That's a great question. And I wish I knew enough white people because we would produce the white pop the balloon because and then produce the Hispanic pop the balloon. And so y'all hearing that, if you of one of those races, go ahead and do it because that would be interesting to see. I think it would work out the same way though. I think it will work out the same way just for the sake of the show is because they're there to be picky, so to speak. But to me that's a microcosm of the real world. And let me say, and I've said this, I would never watch a show like that. And I would never it make me throw up in my mouth. I really do not like that kind of ignorant type of stuff.
Yeah.
But that is where our world is at and so many people watching it. And so the Lord just put on my heart, like, meet people where they are. So if this where they're gonna be, don't leave them there without discernment. Like meet them there and then help elevate their discernment and what they're looking at so that they now can take and apply this in their real life. And then they may graduate from that type of content. And but it's gonna always be there. And so and the reason I realized that is because YouTube shows you in the YouTube studio the people who watch your channel what else they watch, and it would be like all these toxic videos, like all of this other type of information that's contrary to my information, and I'm like, wow. So I guess I need to address those missed messages, and that right there. I don't think in the real world that pop the balloon stuff is the same for white people or even I won't say like all Hispanics, but I'll use Mexicans. I meet a lot and see a lot of Mexicans, and their love situation seem very authentic and organic. Like nothing special about a Mexican man. Like none of them are 6 feet tall. Like it's
Hmm.
rare to meet a
Yeah.
Mexican
Wow.
man that's 6 foot tall.
Wow.
And so, and not only are they like, 5'3" to 5'7", 5'8", but they also are not muscular. They are they are very handy. They could do a lot. Like they very smart, very handy, but they're not like these what they call moggers. They just and their women, some of them, some of their women may be beautiful. Like maybe like shapely and beautiful or whatever, and then some of them are just normal built, but they
Yeah.
focus on family
Yes.
and they focus on unity. They
Yeah.
focus on economic advancement.
Yeah.
Like they're not worried about how tall you are and all of this, how many teeth you got and what all of that. Like let's come together, let's support each other, let's build.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's pop out these kids so that we got generational wealth.
Yeah.
Like and whatever they get into, if it's the automotive world, the construction world, and
Yeah.
they build. Whereas for us, we so superficial
Yeah.
that we can't get deep, that we can't even get to the bigger picture because we just getting caught up on all the little things that don't matter. And so that's what that show has taught me. And it has been hilarious to see. Like it's like comedy. And I'm like, wow, this is so honestly, bro. If I were you, I would jump off a bridge. I would not be able to do it. I literally so it has changed my heart towards men like you in the sense of and not necessarily you because you're only 30. So I don't have a feeling about a guy before 35 in this society, in this climate.
Yeah.
So it used to be like 28, 30, but our world is getting so much worse to where
Yeah.
now I'm like, I give a man till 35 before I start to look at him crazy.
Yeah.
But At 40, that's the men who are fornicating. If you're 40 and abstinent, I'm cool. Stay
Yeah.
single. Stay
Yeah.
single. If you could be abstinent, stay single. Like it's no sense to get married if you can be abstinent and you haven't met a wife. Like don't force it.
Right. Right.
But bruh, if I was you, when you asked me the question, I was about to do this. but that was too dramatic. But boy, listen, man, on for both sides, it seemed like because
Yeah.
when I see the woman up there, when I see the man up there, I'm like, wow. So we working on the show right now. One of my in my singles masterclass it's a young lady. She's a lawyer out of Dallas, and very successful, put together, and she can't find her match. And so she has a concept for a show and she's gonna finance it. She's gonna fund it. And that's the state that I see a lot of black women in, like in that financial state. Like I make more money than her, but she got more money than me. Cause what she gonna put up for it, I wouldn't put up for it. But and I know it'll make it back, but I wouldn't do that because I'd be trying to, just buy groceries and food and stuff. But
Yeah.
I say that to say, and we're gonna shoot it in Dallas, and it's gonna be very interesting because we're going for standards. We're going for high quality. It ain't gonna be no Pookies and Ray Rays on there, and ain't gonna be no Shaquita Boo, ghetto mama on there. It ain't gonna be none of that. And so I say that to say we gotta start to pull out the more qualified singles and showcasing that instead of
Yeah.
just showcasing the idiots and the attention seekers. Like we gotta kind of tug on the people who got it all together. And when you got it all together, a lot of times you don't want to show it. Like you living your life.
Right.
Like you would
Right.
never go on a pop the balloon.
Right.
Like you ain't
Right.
sent an email in there yet to try to go on there. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely not.
And you
Yeah.
got it together. And so we want to do a show for the people like you who got it together will say, I'm doing this only because of the standards
Yeah.
that's gonna be here
Yeah.
and because
Yeah.
of the representation, So man, that's it's sad out there, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
man, it's like, and part of it is the culture, bro. Like you was talking about like the Hispanic culture, how they believe in family and unity. Like, man, I look at what we celebrate as the culture today, and it's just so ratchet, man. Just you listen to just the top 40 music, like what's out here. Um, and it's like we objectifying one another. It's about how much money the man make. It's about how good a woman's body is. Like the songs and stuff that's out here, I'm just like, yo, like this is wild. There's nothing new under the sun. But I'm like, we wonder why we can't get along and why we can't see the value in one another, right? Because everybody online talking about, I want a man of God, I want a woman of God, but then bypass them all the time, in your day-to-day life. And that's what I'll be talking about. Just like in the real world, I dress just regular plain. I'm not out here looking flashy trying to fit into anybody culture. So I oftentimes will get overlooked by the same women that'll be like, oh, I want this type of guy, X, Y, and Z. But you don't even know how to look for that because you're so of the world, and like your only perception and sometimes connection to a man is via the internet, right? And so you're looking at the celebrities, the reality TV people, and that has subconsciously become your example of what you look for. So you go after the bad boy look, or just like gangsterism, how that's celebrated in our culture of being hard and being, I don't know, man. It's so interesting, man. I've been having a lot of conversations with my community about these topics, to try and break through these barriers. And I just think at the end of the day, bro, it's really dependent on us as individuals to really do the work. I think a lot of people talk about the work, but a lot of people don't really see themselves, especially if you're in an echo chamber. And I tell the ladies in my group, I'm like, listen, you got to have conversations with more men in your life in a healthy manner, because if you only talking to your homegirls, they only going to tell you what makes you feel good. They're not going to really hold you accountable, right? Like I think accountability is lacking as well. We need more as men, we're especially doing this, we're trying to set a new standard. We're trying to talk and show what character looks like, not just talking about it online, but living it in the real world. And we oftentimes will call men out for their behavior, but like I don't really see a lot of women online calling out, the narcissistic behaviors and tendencies of women at a mass scale in the way that they do for men, But I think part of it is like an agenda and a tactic to just pull men down in general, whether black or white or Hispanic. I think that's part of like the culture today, is that you don't want male leadership, so you want to attack it. And I think that's why, especially women have to be very careful just what agendas and ideologies you attach yourself to that you don't even fully understand. I saw something on the internet recently. This lady was complaining and talking about how this educated woman that's had like a gender studies background and all this stuff was trying to tell her, as a mother of 4 kids, how to be a mother, but because she's studied and did a dissertation and all this stuff. That's what I'm saying. It's like people are so educated and so got so much knowledge, but you don't have no real life experience with these things, right? It's like you can point out a narcissistic behavior, but you don't even get approached by guys. Like, so how when the last conversation you really had with a man like that's been beyond the internet? I think we just getting closer and closer, just being like stuck in this one echo chamber, and that's all we hear, bro. And it's so crazy. Like I notice whenever I log into our account, just how different the algorithm is, bro. Like just when I look at black content, like this black media, just how much of it is gossip and bickering and fighting and back and forth. I'm like, yo, this is actually insane, man. That this is like, if this is the state of what we're talking about online, man, like I see why we are where we are, because we just serving up junk food to one another, you know?
Yeah, and you know what we're gonna have to do, bro? We'll have to find like just set a thing of like record a conversation, and we're just gonna do them like 30 minutes to 40 minutes, Monday through Friday at noon. Now you're gonna have to be waking up now, but because I mean we'll be able to do it a little later once my one-on-ones stop, which I believe after next week my one-on-ones kind of come to an end, except for certain clients. But we'll be able to do it a little later then, and you let me know what time is doable, because and just pick up just random topics, just
Yeah,
whatever is in the
yeah,
news, whatever, and let's just talk about it. and
yeah, yeah,
and every day that we could hop on, and then when we got something going on, we skip that day. But some weeks we could end up with 5 videos, and then some weeks it might just be 1 or 2 or 3. But
yeah,
I say that to say is we gotta do more to have these level conversations, being that it's so much noise out there.
yeah,
We
yeah,
got to put our voice out there a little more, because one of the things that I can't honestly say that I'm bothered by anything. Like I address it, but it doesn't mean that I'm bothered. I'm addressing it for the people who are being deceived. But when I really like listen to it, if I like, there's this lady who I think she called herself a whistleblower, and she called me and certain other men narcissists. And one of the guys, I feel like, yeah, he could be. I know for 1,000, 1,000,000% I'm not. But yeah, but she lump us all in because we all give advice, so to speak. And that's the part that bothers me, in the sense bothered of, you have women who, when they see my name in the comments or on a video in a negative way, they'll go in the comments and say, "Yeah, I stopped listening to Tony Gas because of this. Yeah, I don't like Tony Gas because of this. Yeah, I don't like Tony Gas because of that." And and to me, it seems like for me, I know it's the work of the devil, because they trying to turn other women away from my message, when my message only gives a woman an advantage in the world. Like my message will never hurt a woman. It will only prepare her for what she gonna see, and to see herself, and to know the reality of the world. And so really what it is now is there's this movement of labeling the individuals like you and I as one thing or another to try to deter or detract from our message. Because so I seen it was brought to my attention, these ladies were mad and they say they unfollowed me because I teach staying out of fornication, but I fornicated. So it's in essence like they want me to tell them to do what I did as a
What?
20-year-old and to stay in that space and say it's okay to fornicate. And they mad and they call me a hypocrite because I'm holding them to a higher standard at they big age of 35, 40, 45, 50
Yeah.
than what I did. Instead of literally seeking to understand and see that that's what we're supposed to do with mistakes. Teach the lesson,
Yeah.
not ask somebody to repeat the mistake or a bad choice and hope for a better outcome or a different outcome or the same outcome.
Yeah.
It's like, and so I'm like, that level of delusion, like that level of, like, man, like that's the level of thinking. And I try to put the shoe on the other foot. And I thought about my cousin who told me, cuz, don't get in the streets, man. Don't get in the streets. Don't get in the streets. And I thought about it. I'm like, was he supposed to tell me, yeah, cuz, get in the streets because I'm in the streets? Yeah, get in the streets. Risk your life every day. Get shot at. I just got a attempted murder charge. Yeah, get out here in the streets and get your attempted murder charge. And it's almost like that's what they saying.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, but then what it does is if somebody is like a baby in the Lord, or they are very green, like 18, 19, like it's young girls who follow me that's like 16, 17, and they'll comment sometimes. They're like, Tony, I'm 17. I'm like, man. Then some girls, the comment, they'll be like, Tony, I'm 22. I've been following you since I was 16. Tony, I'm 23. I'm like, man, look at all these babies. If these babies, which they go into these toxic videos that got me in the thumbnail, if these babies go read these comments from these grown women in their 40s talking about I'm a hypocrite, that's going to cause confusion in those young girls. So then when they step away from my message and they go out and they hear a message from a man who is serving them up to get put on their back,
Yeah.
and he's finessing them, then now they're susceptible. But it's because of their OGs told them I'm a hypocrite.
Come on.
When if I was a hypocrite, a man like yourself would not be sitting here on this screen with me. And you don't walk with me, been there with me every day, been on the road with me. And so that's what really, like, I'm like, Lord, we going into a different level.
Yes.
Of like this we going into a different level of warfare.
Yeah. It's like what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. And then it's like you coming online, you trying to give a perspective to help women to break them out of this cycle. But again, just the knowledge versus the wisdom. Like some people can't receive it. And bro, I'm at the point, and it's harsh, but as men, we have to embrace this early on. And the women in my life that I talk to and that I pour into like a brother, I'm raw and real with them. And just my honest truth, bro, is that because you're trying to break the pattern of like women, being in abusive relationships, having children out of wedlock, and being, with a deadbeat baby daddy, right? But just my honest truth, bro, some people got to learn the hard way, man. So it's like you can't listen, then like, all right, man, hey, God, you here for a reason, and I just hope you learn your lesson. It's unfortunate, especially within our community, because we all talking and saying a good thing, but our actions show otherwise. And I just think it's because we're not, a lot of our women just aren't used to leadership. And not to harp on the 2-parent household thing, but for me personally, bro, that's what makes dating like difficult. Not saying that I come from some perfect environment, but I understand the dynamics of the reality of a man and woman having to work together. And just it's tough, bro, just when a lot of women haven't seen that, and they're not trying to, like, they want to compete or be combative with you, bro, and it's just draining. It just makes me like avoid You know, just certain types of women I can just read and off the bat just kind of tell where they are. You know, I think a man's I real this is what I'm learning too, bro. A man's level of discernment is so powerful when you're really locked into God. You can see a lot of things that, like, I think men and women, we have different vision, but I realize, like, I think it's easy for us to talk about these things because we see it, but our level of discernment is different from women, you know? And like that's what I realized, bro. And like that's why it's important. That's why I'm like, man, I gotta get out these streets for real, like and get married because I want to pour. I know that I'm here to pour into a woman and to give her my logic and my lessons and things learned. Um, and and I mean this in a respectful way, but I understand now why the Bible says the woman is the weaker vessel, you know? Like a woman is to be led, you know? I think I do understand like the lack of male leadership, but you got to learn to want to receive leadership if you really want to grow and to have a healthy legacy that you leave here on this earth spiritually, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's just my honest truth. I think sometimes we're too protective of a woman's emotions, and when it comes to men we beat them up with the raw real truth, but with women we coddle them because we don't want to hurt their feelings, and then they go around their homegirls ain't holding them accountable and saying like, you out here being a hoe, like you need to, you know, get it together. And then the OG ladies aren't pouring into the younger ladies because they're competing with them as well because they're both single, you know. Like I talked to a friend one time that's now married, and he was explaining to me like how his mother-in-law is low-key jealous of the daughter because she's still single, and now the daughter has left and cleaved to her husband, and now no longer, now she by herself, you know. And so she's jealous and be trying to interfere whenever he's leading his wife, you know. She want to try and interfere and get in between, and so man, it's
That's
just so much
real.
that I just see, bro, that oftentimes we don't talk about publicly, but like we see it, you know. But that, man, that's what I see, bro. Like it's, again, like just even myself being on the dating scene, bro, it's more women out here that talk a good game, but if I wanted to, could put them on their back and they're not gonna hold me accountable, right? But after I break up with them or I move on, then all men are this or that, but not take accountability for like, but you know, you chose me, like you had a choice, right? This wasn't forced. This was a, you know, it takes two to tango, you know. So like I'm just tired of the conversation being so one-sided as if it's just men this, men that. Like I do think, yeah, part of it, yeah, lack of male leadership, right? But you got to take accountability for self and you're where you're being and going wrong, right? Because in that same way where women talk about it, which I understand and I respect, we all got trauma and a past, but you got to heal from that. Because what happens if you don't heal from that, every man that you run across that looks like me and looks like you pass on that hurt to that man. You don't trust that man, or you do something to exploit that man, or where we can be physical in abusing women, I think women are more dangerous mentally and emotionally in hurting men, right? Like for me, when I trace back my journey of like becoming a dog and like sleeping around, it came in high school, right? Like talking, you know, to two girls that came from my broken backgrounds, and they cheated on me, you know. And I was raised to be a good guy, you know, to treat girls with respect. And then but after that, after I received that hurt and pain, I just became a dog, and I just passed on that energy to women until I aligned myself with God for real and took accountability for my actions, you know, versus just saying like, oh, them girls hurt me or this and that. Like, no, like you should have never been going down that path, you know? And so, man, that's how I feel, bro. I think it's just a lack of accountability. And I just think, like, you know, I love to see you speaking your truth and just calling it what it is, you know. And so I think we just gotta start calling a spade, man, because it's too much just women only talking to women and not getting in groups where they're talking to men, where you talking to that uncle, or you talking to somebody in your circle in your life that you can touch, you know, just to get a male's perspective, an honest review of how you are as a woman and how men perceive women in the world. You know, I think we sugarcoat too much and trying to protect them, and it shows today, bro. And it's like it's starting to bite us in the butt, you know.
Mm-hmm. Man, in closing, I want to say that what you just articulated is something that I've been expressing, and of like there's a shift to where men are not perfect. We've never been perfect, but the shift now is the adversary is going to the women
Yeah.
to use them.
Yep.
to use them more vocally and to be more destructive.
Yep.
And so now there's a lot of women with a destructive YouTube channel, with destructive music. There's destructive prophetess, like
Talk about it.
women pastors who are misleading. I mean, misleading millions, deceiving millions to where it was almost like the adversary say, I got the man. The man has been stupid. Like I done been had him take a stupid pill. Now they starting to wake up because it's men coming out and speaking the truth like what we're doing. So men starting to see a different vision, a different viewpoint. And so he said, now I got to go get the woman then. Now I got to get women to be deceptive leaders,
Yep.
destructive leaders, and then put them at odds with the men. And then have them attacking the men who are trying to clear things up and clean things up, and have them call them men narcissists, call
Yep.
them men fraudsters, call them men whatever, scammers, liars, cheaters.
Yep.
And I remember the lady, she was like, she almost got a defamation lawsuit from me. She literally like, watch, it's gonna be something come out on Tony Gaskins. Just wait, just wait, just wait. And you know how I live my life. It ain't nothing to come out. But she was saying it is almost like it was like she was telling her followers that she got dirt on me
Yeah.
that she just holding and she not gonna release it.
Is
So
she married?
it's no possible way she could be married. If she is, he's a mannequin. It's no possible way she could be on the internet that loud and all of that, talking about she whistleblowing and
Mm.
be married. Is no possible way. If she is, I do not. He has to be a gay man, and she's like a cover up. Like it's no possible way. I don't think a man in this world will let his woman be on the internet like that. But and that could also be just like being bitter and being jealous of like, man, he got all these ears of these women that I want to have the ear of because so I could deceive them and get money off of them for my books because we're trying
Yeah.
to sell books and trying to sell courses and stuff.
Yeah.
So basically got the same products I got, but bashing me because I got the ears that she want to have and in a position that she want to be in. And it was just kind of crazy. But I said, you know what? But it was people who believe her. Not a lot, but it was like when anytime she would do that video, it would be like 1 to 3 women that would
Yeah.
write in and
Yeah.
be like, delete my account off Tony Gas Academy. And I don't know if it would be a result of that, but it's like, okay, you got a course, you got lifetime access. What do you want to delete your account for? Like, is it your account not bothering you? But
Yeah.
it's just those will be the few women that get plucked out by the devil, just causing discord and confusion.
Yeah.
And it would never be more than 1 or 2, but it just me the way my heart is, I don't want one person to be led astray. I want everybody to be able to have the tools when you're going out here into the world to have discernment and
Yeah.
be able to fight and win, in this spiritual warfare that we face every day. So, bro,
Yeah.
we just anytime we able, and y'all, anytime I say I'm gonna do something, that's when everything start going crazy. But
Yeah.
anytime we able, man, we got to hop on here and just keep, touching on these topics, these polarizing topics that's hitting our society.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just even right now with all the stuff going on in the world with politics and how that's gonna make us feel, and
Yeah.
just with the
Yeah.
division,
Yeah. Yeah.
not even about what they doing, but just how it's gonna divide black and white,
Yeah.
black and Hispanic, white and Hispanic, Asian and whoever,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's gonna be a lot of that going on. So, and I seen that, man. I spoke on a little bit the other day, and it was like it was white women, black women in the comments attacking me,
Hey,
and just
heavy as the crown, bro.
about politics. And I say, man, politics, boy. Like they say, never discuss politics or religion at the dinner table,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but yeah,
Man.
bro, man, let's be thinking and be praying and
Yeah.
hop on here
Definitely.
when we can.
Definitely. Hey, stay encouraged, bro. Stay encouraged. You definitely need it as a voice because you got so many people out here that spewing negativity and debauchery, celebrating that. It's like women ain't tearing down their favorite R&B singer that's just talking about sex and, not married and not, you know what I'm saying? Like millions of women are paying to go to tours and concerts. But when somebody's standing up and you trying to trying to hold a standard of righteousness, say, man, live right, like do better, stop repeating these cycles and patterns, and you become the narcissist and all these other words. So, but now stay encouraged, bro. You're a leader, but I get it, bro. Heavy is the crown, bro. But man, don't falter. Don't let none of it get to you, because I can only imagine the pressure. And I know you ignore it, bro, but just all day, every day, man. I don't think people understand the position of leadership and what you got to deal with, constantly being bombarded with questions. On this side, they attacking you, and from this other side, they actually want to hear from you, and you're pouring out your heart day in and day out into the lives of people to help them grow and change. So, bro, stay encouraged, man. But we're gonna keep doing what we're doing here at Louder Than Words. It's about really living what you believe, not just being on the internet talking about it. So we'll be back soon. We're gonna continue just to keep doing what we do. Peace.